Welcome back. Today I want to talk about a question that I'm getting quite often, which is, am I too old to learn programming? There's a couple of emails that I receive every week telling me, hey, Tom, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. Is this too old to learn programming? And the question probably targets people who want to sort of restart their career, do something else. And my impulse answer is always going to be no, because on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. What do I mean by that? That's the words of a famous cartoon from 1993, from one of the very, very, very early days of the internet. And in this cartoon, there's two dogs. One of the larger dog is sitting on a chair at a desk with his paw on the keyboard of the computer before him. And he's speaking to a smaller dog sitting on the floor beside him and telling him, hey, listen, this is cool because on the internet, nobody knows that you are a dog. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you work for yourself, if you are not looking for an employer, bigger company, but you work for yourself and you get your clients via the internet, like on platforms like Upwork.com or Freelancer.com or Fiverr.com, whatever, nobody cares how old you are. Nobody cares. They care about the quality of work that you produce. They care about the reviews and ratings of other former clients of yours in order to tell them, well, you're trustworthy and you're a cool guy or girl to work with. But the age is not an attribute that's important there, right? And the question is how you get experience there in order to build a profile. There is something for a different call, for a different podcast episode. But that's sort of my impulse answer is no, because age doesn't really matter. On the internet, nobody knows how old you are. On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. But what if you're not interested in working for yourself, dealing with getting clients over the internet? If you want to work as an employee for a corporation? And there, the question is really, or the answer to the question is really, it depends. It depends on the qualifications that these companies put on their candidates. Usually, age is not something that you are allowed even to post there. But it really depends on the culture of the company. Like startup companies are this, hyped. Young and trendy and quick and fast kind of culture that sometimes don't really mix that well with older people. But sometimes even this mixture can be valuable, or I would argue that it's always valuable. But sometimes it's something that the companies themselves value and recognize in order then to not really just hire 20 somethings by themselves, but mix it up with some older guys and girls. And I've seen this working by myself. I've worked for startup companies where I was on the older age bracket, on the older end of the age spectrum, and I had no problems working with younger people. And I hope from the feedback that I've gotten, they felt the same. So that can be a valuable experience there. But it really depends on the employer. And usually the more, I don't know, the bigger the corporation, the bigger the employer is, the more employees it has, usually the more, the stricter are the requirements concerning, academic degrees and other stuff like existing experience. And if you're just getting started and trying to build your profile, trying to get experience, that might be harder for getting started in bigger corporations than on smaller ones. And my biggest tip and my wish and my what I hope that you get from me is use the life experience that you already have to make yourself a unique offer to an employer, to a client. If you just graduated from college, you're younger, okay, but there's usually not that much life experience that you have because you're young, right? It's not your fault. But if you're older, I'm sure you know something that these other young folks don't, right? Maybe you've been a salesman before, or maybe you had your own company. Maybe you worked at a retail shop. Um, and you might say, well, what does that have to do with learning to code? Well, I tell you, the real secret is come real close. The real secret is it's not about the code. It's never just about the code. Yes, of course, that's your job as a software developer to put some code syntax on the screen, but that's usually the easy part. The more interesting and the more difficult and more complex part is the step before, understanding what the needs of a client are, understanding the problem that a user is facing and what kind of solutions we could offer with our software. And this is talking, this is understanding the scenarios that people are facing right now, and identifying the ways that software could help them solve a particular problem or make it easier, make their life easier. um, and that's the important thing, and that's actually easier the more life experience you already have. In order to feel other people, to get to know them, to understand where they are coming from. Um, and then of course you sort of translate what you found out and translate it into code. That's the actual coding step. But I think that the older you are, the more life experience you have, and the easier it is to actually do the steps before, to identify what's going on, to connect with people, to understand where they are coming from. So, as a homework, I want you to take a piece of paper and a pencil and write this down and put it somewhere where you can see it every day. Write down, I am young enough to do anything I want. I am young enough to learn programming.